Most first-time buyers think working capital is real simple. It's like current working assets minus current liabilities. It's just the cash in the business, right? Nope. You can buy a profitable business and still run out of cash in the first 60 days. Why? Because every business has its own cash survival number. Some only need 30K to breathe, some need 300K. You guessed that wrong. You can buy a great business and still choke before month two. Working capital isn't a formula, it's a fingerprint to the business. And if you don't know how much this business needs to stay alive, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. So think about that for a second. Hi, I'm John Stoddard from DealFlowSystem.net. I help first time buyers find, fund, and close their first business. And today, I'm going to break down something that most buyers ignore until it almost destroys them. How much cash your business needs just to stay alive. Because it's not profit that keeps you alive, it's oxygen, it's working capital. So let's get into it. Here's the first big mistake. All right, section one, working capital equals cash. But every business is different. Here's the first big mistake. Buyers think every business needs the same amount of cash. We're current working assets minus current liabilities. But every business kind of has its own rhythm, its own breathing pattern, and its own cash requirement. Some businesses move cash in fast, like money in, money out, money back in. Others move it painfully slow, like money in today, great, but money back out months later. And it could be same revenue business and same profit business, total different survival numbers. And that's the part first time buyers just don't see coming. So hang with me. The next part is where most buyers get blindsided. And I'm going to tell you a story, the deal that should have worked. I had a friend bought a $1.8 million service company. Deal looked solid, but the seller kept 150K of cash in the business to keep things running smoothly. The buyer, thinking he was smart, said, I'll run it tighter. I'll be fine with 30 days after closing. He was drowning in bills. Payroll hit, vendors tightened terms, sales dipped, receivables slow, and that big old fat SBA payment hit. And poof, gone. And he called me and goes, John, this business is profitable, but how am I out of money? Simple fact, because profit and cash are not the same thing. The business needed 150K just to breathe. He walked in with 60K. That's working capital. All right, section number 3. Why working capital matters more than debt service coverage ratio. Heather Endresen, one of the smartest SBA lender minds out there, says working capital matters more than debt service coverage ratio. And here's why that's true. DSCR is a banker number. Working capital is a survival number. DSCR does not pay payroll, rent, vendors, inventory, taxes, surprises, which will come. Only cash does. So let's hit Heather's simple truth. Heather's truth number 1, the seller's position is not your position. The seller runs the business with sometimes, or, always, like he's been running for 10 years, no debt. He's got a lot of trust with vendors, years of cash cushions, smooth cycles. But you, first time buyer, walk in with fresh debt, zero vendor trust, no cushion, no grace, and a lot of fear. And you're not stepping into the seller's business. You're stepping into the harder version of it. All right, here's truth number 2. Buyers underestimate timing. Here's the real order of events. You do the work, you pay payroll, you pay vendors, you pay rent, you pay taxes, you pay SBA. Then customers pay you. And that gap, 30, 45, 60, maybe more days, is where first-time buyers die. All right, now let's get into Heather's truth number 3. Working capital must be in the LOI. The LOI should spell out how much cash stays in the business, what normal inventory means, and good sellable inventory, What happens if the business is short? And if you skip this part, you may be writing a big check at close you didn't expect. So here's a few things where it gets real. And I'm just going to share some mini stories. All right. First one is the HVAC gap. The seller said, here's how the business works. We do work in April, and we get paid in June. That is a 2-month cash gap. And if you don't plan for it, you're going to have instant trouble on your business. All right, here's go to this next story. The e-com treadmill. Like, it has amazing margins, beautiful business, but $75K in inventory reorders and sometimes long shipping delays. So you got to prepay those vendors and slow payouts. Buyer only brought in $40K and he had never had a chance. He got himself in trouble. Here's another story. Vendor terms can change overnight. Let's say the seller had 30 days because vendors trusted him. He's been buying from them for 10 years. But you as a new owner, yeah, you got to build up your trust. You got to pay a delivery. And you know what happens to that cash? It disappears immediately. So let me take a little sidebar and ask, would you buy a business where payroll hits weekly, but customers pay every 6 weeks? Think about that one. Let me ask this one. Would you buy a business where you need 150K in inventory before you can sell anything? These are actual real life survival questions. There's another guy I follow, Keith Cunningham. He's got some rules. He's got 2 rules that every buyer should memorize. Rule number 1, profit on that income statement is a theory. Cash in the bank is a fact. Profit is what accountants show you. Cash is what keeps you alive. And rule number 2, you need runway. If you don't have enough cash runway, even a great business will crash. Working capital is that runway for the plane to get off. All right, let me go to this. Here's where a little twist where almost everyone misses. And it's working capital is and should be part of the price. Buyers think the price is an SBA loan, their down payment, a seller note. No. The real price is purchase price and working capital needed to keep the business alive. And here's an example. Let's take a $1.2 million business that needs $300K of cash. That's risky. That could be an example. Or a $1.8 million business that needs $80K of cash. That's safer. That's the twist to each industry and each sector. All right, let's do this. Create a very simple buyer checklist that you can use every time when you're buying it. First time buyers. Number 1, how fast does money come in? Always ask this. How long until customers pay me? Number 2, how fast does money move out? This is where you ask, when do I owe money? And number 3, how much cash does the seller keep in the business? You need to ask them directly. They will know the number because they built up this rhythm. And number 4, put working capital in the LOI. You need to define cash, inventory, good inventory, and what happens if it's short. Number 5, hold 3 months of cash after closing. This is non-negotiable. And number 6, speed up cash in, like invoice faster, maybe give them a 2% discount, collect faster. And number 7, slow cash out. This will improve your cash flow. Use terms and don't pay early without a reason. And number 8, build a simple 13-week cash flow forecast. This tells you your real survival window. All right. Let's go back to the buyer who almost crashed. Once we rebuilt his cash model, we found the truth. The business needed 180K to breathe, not 60K. And once we fixed that working capital, the business stabilized. He wasn't, going these sleepless nights as much. But he almost lost everything during that episode because he skipped that one question. How much cash does the business need just to stay alive? All right. If you want help understanding this stuff so you don't walk into the same trap, join me weekly or pass or pursue sections. We're talking about real deals, real numbers, real feedback. And visit dealflowsystem.net to apply. to get the tools to find, fund, and close your first $1 million business. I'm John Stoddard, and I will see you on the next one.